Hi, I want to let you know about a new group that I plan to start on January 14th, and it's going to be a monthly group where we gather to discuss policy over politics. It's going to be on the second Wednesday of each month from 5:30 to 7:30 at my home. I'm going to do a potluck style, so we'll be able to eat and spend time together. And I'm very aware that many people hate the topic of politics or are too busy to even think about that when you have so many other things to prioritize. But a couple years ago, I got an email in my inbox to join the policy circle and to do a couple of civic engagement classes and a leadership class. And I was able to obtain a sponsorship for it. And I took the class. And then I had a homework assignment to go and meet a local elected official. And I'd never done that before. I hadn't been to city council meetings. I hadn't even really been to my local school board meetings, even though I had had various experiences that were huge challenges. And I didn't understand the process of change, the process of being able to share my voice and my struggles and my problems, where there would actually be remedies and solutions that would take place at a more policy legislative level to actually bring sincere change, not just for my kids, but other kids as well. So when I met with this local elected official, I walked out of the office. It was actually our mayor at the time. I walked out of the office encouraged to go sign up and give it a try. And I honestly did not think I had even a chance at winning. Didn't even cross my mind, to the point that the night of election, I was doing something else with my time and I hadn't even checked the election results. And a friend of mine said, "Did you even look at it?" And I was like, "I'm not going to win." And then I did win. I won by 60% of the vote by a landslide. I wasn't planning on that turn of events for my life. I wasn't planning on stepping into politics or local civic engagement at that level. But I had been advocating for other things in my community, and I kept reaching a ceiling that said I could go no further. I kept getting told, "We can't do that. There's a law or a policy or a restriction that prohibits us from finding a solution or a remedy to that specific problem." And I thought to myself, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't like the word "I can't" or "we can't" or "that's not possible," because I know that that policy or that situation was put in place by somebody. And as much as it was implemented, it can also be undone or replaced or amended or fixed. So I wanted to get involved. I wanted to be a mom at the table of decision making. And I wanted to have my voice at that table to represent the many moms and the many voices and the many kids in our district who are having the same exact struggles that I was having in our household with my kids. And even though I'm past the season of my kids being younger, I've learned through life experiences that once you come out of something, you go back and you grab hands and you help pull people out of that places that they're stuck, because I don't want those life lessons to just be wasted on, yes, I got out of situations, but what about the other mom? What about the other kid? What about the other struggling situation? Experience is my, what am I trying to say? It's my college degree, life experience. So I got this award through the policy circle. It's a bowl, and I put leaves in it that I collected one day because I'm not sure where to put this bowl. Can't nail it on my wall, so it sits around different places and I still wonder about it. But it's probably the greatest award I've ever gotten, or the greatest validation that just shows I'm doing what I want to do by making an impact on the people around me to change and to give hope that there is hope for change if you simply step into the situation and try to bring a solution to the table instead of remaining hopeless. So, if I, as a single mom of 4, with very little finances, can make a big ripple in the pond, and just by loving one person at a time, by doing the right thing one situation at a time, I want my actions, my conduct, my life to inspire everyone to be doing the same. Because I know I'm not the only one who looks around our community and says, I don't like what I see. I don't like hearing what my kid told me about school today. I don't like seeing that human collapse on the ground as I'm driving my car by, wondering if they're overdosed on fentanyl. I don't like having to walk on such high alert wherever I go, wondering if something's going to be stolen from me, or being afraid if I can walk on a hiking path and I'm going to be assaulted. I don't like not letting my kids play safely outside every day like I was able to do as a kid. There's so many concerns. So my thought is, the silent majority, which I was a part of for a long time, we can sit back and hope that somebody else will get in there and, be like David and Goliath and stand up for the whole community. But what if more than one did? What if many did? What if 10 did? What if 1,000 did? What if 1,000, a remnant in the city of Redding, began to work together to make our city awesome? It would change the whole city. It doesn't take much time commitment either. I'm just saying, like, the vision and that passion I have is to lead by example, in hopes that it will ignite a fire in people's hearts to want to do something, anything. And no matter what side of the fence you're on, we're all Americans. And I love what someone reminded me of the other day about all the division going on. Like, it's different if you're dealing with a foreign enemy from another nation, but this is in-house. This is our home. This is our home. And it is our problem when our home is not okay. And whether it's inside of our house, literally, in our neighborhoods, in our city, in our schools, in our city council, whatever, this is our home. And this is where our children are calling home. And we can't wait for the generation ahead of us, above us. They've done their part. They're quote unquote aging out. It is our generation's turn to rise up in leadership in our city and make this place a place that we want to be. I'm not going anywhere, so I want to make it better. So going into this group I'm doing, Policy Circle, it's only going to be once a month because that's all I can do. Other people could do this. You could start a group. It could grow. I don't know. But the great thing is that the Policy Circle handed me a gift bag of actual usable resources and talking cards. And these talking cards are discussion points about policy, about having time that everyone gets to share their perspective, their opinion, and their thoughts. I literally got a timer so that everybody gets a certain amount of time to speak. It's going to be conducted peacefully. It doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. In fact, I want both sides. I want to hear more of an unbiased, balanced approach to the things in our community. I don't want to just surround myself with just one perspective and then fight for that perspective when I don't have an inkling of understanding about the other person's perspective. It doesn't mean I need to change my mind. It just means that we got to be careful of confirmation bias and biases in general. and grouping together in little circles and not letting anybody in our circle, because we're humans and we all live here and we all have to shop at the same places and we all have to drive on the same city roads. This is our home. I don't want to fight the wrong things. I want to fight the right things. And fighting people is not my goal. I don't need to fight people, but fighting harmful legislation or policies that are the doors to so much of the problems that are happening, and that the minority is louder than the majority, and the majority would rather remain silent because conflict is hard. Well, the policy circle is an opportunity to come to my home, to have food together and talk and have a place where you're going to be heard. And maybe you hate politics. I just talked to a person and I was texting and they're like, I hate politics. And I heard a phrase a while back that I really liked. It's like, you might want nothing to do with politics, but politics has everything to do with you. Every single decision being made that we are passively sitting back, letting happen, is affecting us. Every tax measure that's passed, every legislative thing that's passed, every time that we're not watching for fiscal accountability and responsibility, every time we sit back and do diffusion of responsibility and think it's someone else's job to take care of that, we only have one person to point at and say, what have I done to be part of the solution? And if you can't say you've done anything to be part of the solution, how do I have a right to complain about something I've done nothing about? And it's not our children's responsibility to advocate for their safety and for their nation and for their future. They're kids. They have so much crisis going on right now. Do you know Redding has 3 times the amount of suicides as the entire state of California? You know, I would think like LA or Bakersfield or San Jose or Stockton, I don't know, Oakland would have higher rates. But no, we do. So that concerns me, right? The high crime rate, the high theft rate. Do you know I have like really high theft rates for cars and vehicles? Like really high. Do you know every time I see an RPD post, there's like 5 to 10 illegal guns out on the table with tons of fentanyl pills. And then my rights as a law-abiding citizen are constantly being threatened to be able to own a gun and protect and defend myself and my family and my home. And there's all kinds of laws and legislation. Like even if someone's in my house, I have to do all these steps just to be able to defend myself. It's crazy out there. And I don't want to get in the middle of the crazy any more than the next person does. But if not me, then who? I don't like the method, the story, the psychology studies of diffusion of responsibility. I don't know if you've taken a psychology class, but there's that story where there was an apartment complex and there was a woman getting murdered in broad daylight and assaulted, and tons of people heard her screaming. I have glitter on my face, sorry, it's from the other day. And yes, I'm tired, but who cares? The woman was getting assaulted and screaming to her death for a very long time. And tons of people heard, and not one person called 911. And she died. And the crime took place, and no one intervened or intercepted it. And the reason is because everybody thought that somebody else surely had called 911. When I heard that story, I was appalled. It broke my heart. It made me sick to my stomach. And I don't even remember when that class was, but it was years ago. And I just made a decision in that moment, like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that person who does nothing, ever. I'm not going to be the person who hears the screams and I just walk past and think that somebody else has that taken care of. I can't tell you how many 911 calls I've made. I've seen drunk drivers on the road. I've seen weirdos at parks around kids. I've seen a house fire down my street. Like probably 8 months ago, a house was on fire and I was like, oh my gosh, and I called it in. And then I helped the firemen turn on the fire hydrant and start the water and line up the hoses as a veteran. Like, I will get my hands in there and be part of the solution. I don't care what the situation is. I remember I was in Sac when I lived there, and I was on the freeway, and there was a body on the side of the road, and I had my young kids in the car, and I was like really pregnant, but I had a non-rebreather mask in my trunk, and I knew that I had that. And I saw the guy doing CPR without a mask, and I thought, ew. So I pulled over and I was like, hey, you want a non-rebreather mask? I have one. And I handed it to him. And I remember the fire truck pulled up and they asked me, they're like, what do you have to do with this? Why are you here? And I pulled over to help. They're like, why? I'm like, because I know basic first aid. Because I saw this guy doing CPR on the side of the road. Because there's a body. Because I know how to do CPR, because I have a non-rebreather mask. I don't know. Being a good human, that's why. What should I do? Drive by and just let that play out? Ew. That's not who I am going to be. So, I'm starting this group. I hope that you join me. Not because it's really fun to deal with politics, but because I want to start the conversation. I want you to feel safe enough to start talking about it in a safe place and have those discussions and be better equipped for the time we live in to be able to have a healthy, non-violent, non-psychotic, aggressive, insane, explosive outburst that gets you on the news. I want to be able to have and teach and facilitate adults talking about hard things in a mature, healthy way. And I really think this is the best way for that. So it can unify. I don't really think that there's room for it to divide. There can be different opinions at the table, and we can still walk away being kind and being neighbors and being fellow citizens in this community. And I really think it's going to do a lot of good. So there you go. I hope you join me. The policy circle idea works. And I'm behind it 100%. And I hope you come to the potluck. And we're going to do the talking cards and stay on track. And it's going to be really fun. Really fun and really informative. Okay, thanks. Bye.